Hello there, how's it going? This is my 13th video of the book Atomic Habits, and in this one we will continue chapter 16 from where we left off. We finished how to recover quickly when your habits break down. So let's begin from knowing when to track a habit. The dark the dark side of tracking a particular behavior is that we become driven by the number rather than the purpose behind it. If your success is measured by quarterly earnings, you will optimize sales, revenue, and accounting for quarterly earnings. If your success is measured by a lower number on the scale, you will optimize for a lower number on the scale, even if that means embracing crash diets, juice cleanses, and fat loss pills. The human mind wants to win whatever game is being played. I think this is a very powerful idea. The human mind wants to win whatever game is being played. You can actually see this in social media or video games that people who play video games they want to become the best at video games even though it's a very bad habit. Or people who use Reddit, they want to gain karma or upvotes as much as they want, as much as they can, because that's the game they are playing, but it's a waste of time, honestly. The pitfall is evident in many areas of life. We focus on working long hours instead of getting meaningful work done. We care more about getting 10,000 steps than we do about being healthy. We teach for standardized tests instead of emphasizing learning, curiosity, and critical thinking. In short, we optimize for what we measure. When we choose the wrong measurement, we get the wrong behavior. I think this is a very powerful idea, very powerful passage. This pitfall is evident in many areas of life. We focus on working long hours instead of getting meaningful work done. We care more about getting 10,000 steps than we do about being healthy. We teach for standardized tests instead of emphasizing learning, curiosity, and critical thinking. In short, we optimize for what we measure. When we choose the wrong measurement, we get the wrong behavior. Yeah, you have to measure the right thing. You have to measure the right thing. If you don't measure the right thing, you will get the wrong outcome. This is sometimes referred to as Goodhart's law. The principle states when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. Measurement is only useful when it guides you and adds context to a larger picture. Each number is simply one piece of feedback in the overall system. In our data driven world, we tend to overvalue numbers and undervalue anything ephemeral, soft, and difficult to quantify. We mistakenly think the factors we can measure are the only factors that exist. But just because you can measure something doesn't mean it's the most important thing. And just because you can't measure something doesn't mean it's not important at all. All of this to say it's crucial to keep habit tracking in its proper place. It can feel satisfying to record a habit and track your progress, but the measurement is not the only thing that matters. Yeah, exactly. So he gives an example of someone who started going to the gym. Now, when in your early days, you don't really lose much weight. However, you actually start to feel more energetic. So and you can't measure energy, right? You can only measure your weight on the scale. So, so non-measurable things are also useful when it comes to making good habits. So these are a few traps people can fall into. They can get obsessed with the measurement instead of getting better. No matter how you measure your improvement, habit tracking offers a simple way to make your habits more satisfying. Each measurement provides a little bit of evidence that you are moving in the right direction and a brief moment of immediate pleasure for a job well done. Chapter summary. One of the most satisfying feelings is the feeling of making progress. Habit trackers and other visual forms of measurements can make your habit satisfying by providing clear evidence of your progress. Don't break the chain. Try to keep your habit streak alive. Never miss twice. If you miss one day, try to get back on track as quickly as possible. Just because you can measure something doesn't mean it's the most important thing. I think all of the ideas are very useful in one way or another. So habit tracking is definitely satisfying indeed, and they provide a visual forms of measurement and never break the chain. They help you to never break the chain because you can actually see if you have been doing your habit or not. Never miss twice. If you break the chain, don't uh, create a new chain as soon as possible. Never miss twice. Just because you can measure something doesn't mean it's the most important thing. We are done with chapter 16. So let's take a little look at chapter 17, how an accountability partner can change everything. Now, this is an inversion of the fourth law, make it unsatisfying. Let's see how we can make something unsatisfying. Just as we are more likely to repeat an experience when the just as we are more likely to repeat an experience when the ending is satisfying, we are also more likely to avoid an experience when the ending is painful. Pain is an effective teacher. If a failure is painful, it gets fixed. If a failure is relatively painless, it gets ignored. The more immediate and more costly a mistake is, the faster you will learn from it. The threat of a bad review forces a plumber to be good at his job. The cost of cutting the wrong blood vessel makes a surgeon master human anatomy and cut carefully. When the consequences are severe, people learn quickly. Hmm. So he gave two examples, one of a plumber and another one of a surgeon. So making a mistake is costly there. That's why they are extremely careful. So if you can add a cost to your mistake, you will be more likely to be careful about it. Very good idea. Pain is pain is an effective teacher. Exactly. The real pain. The more immediate the pain, the less likely the behavior. So it has to be immediate as well, because last time we talked about the reward has to be immediate from the chapter from the first chapter of the section, chapter 14, 15, I guess. The more immediate the pain, the less likely the behavior. If you want to prevent bad habits and eliminate unhealthy behaviors, then adding an instant cost to the action is a great way to reduce their odds. We repeat bad habits because they serve us in some way. Yeah, we have talked about this idea as well, and I don't know. I believe in make it attractive. The reason we do bad habits is because we have a reason to do them. Otherwise, why would anyone partake in bad habits, right? Right? For example, social media or entertainment, it just makes people feel good. That's why they do it. We repeat bad habits because they serve us in some way, and that makes them hard to abandon. The best way I know to overcome this predicament is to increase the speed of the punishment associated with the behavior. There should be a punishment with the behavior, right? If it feels good, then you're going to do it. But would you still do it if it feels bad? Very good idea. We repeat bad habits because they serve us in some way, and that makes them hard to abandon. The best way I know to overcome this predicament is to increase the speed of the punishment associated with the behavior. There can't be a gap between the action and the consequences. As soon as actions incur an immediate consequence, the behavior begins to change. Customers pay their bills on time when they are charged a late fee. Students show up to class when their grades are linked to attendance. Hmm. Hmm. So these are two examples because there is an immediate punishment. If you miss the deadline, now there's late fee. If you don't go to the class, now you are marked absent. If you are going to rely on punishment to change a behavior, then the strength of the punishment must match the relative strength of the behavior it is trying to correct. To be productive, the cost of procrastination must be greater than the cost of action. To be healthy, the cost of laziness must be greater than the cost of exercise. Behavior only shifts if the punishment is painful enough and reliably enforced. In general, the more local, tangible, concrete, and immediate the consequence, the more likely it is to influence the individual behavior. The more global, intangible, vague, and delayed the consequence, the less likely it is to influence individual behavior. Thankfully, there is a straightforward way to add an immediate cost to any bad habit. Create a create a habit contract. Hmm. So that's the idea of inversion of fourth law, and he's proposing one strategy to make it unsatisfying, and he's calling a habit contract. I see. Well, I believe this is it for this video. In the next one, I believe we will start again, chapter 17 in the next one, and we will also look at habit contract. And that's it for this one. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one.